Organcy here with our second favorite comp we like playing. It's against Frost+Disc Priest. This is a hard comp to get an opener against because they both have AoEs. Even though they knock me out here, you just gotta stay on them. Gunter's positioning here is key, so you gotta make sure that he's in a position to heal. He's not gonna need a bunch of CCs. One of Mage Priest's strong suits is the fact that they can both turn on a dime and drop a ton of damage. I try and bait out a counterspell here so Gunter can free heal. You're gonna see. He's out of range of Poly, he's out of range of Fear, and he's not really in any danger since counterspell got used on me. Another strength of this comp is that as matches tend to go longer, the mage can use his offensive CDs over and over again, and that's really well suited for their comp since the priest can't really get gibbed and the mage can heal for days. As you can see, we made the mage overextend here, force out Will the Forsaken, and block. We ended up cycling him just so that penance wouldn't end up topping him off. I could go for a re-stealth right here since all the pets are on Gunter. The problem is that Frost+Discs reset better than any other 2's comp out there. Instead, we're going to take this opportunity to kill the pets and try and bait them to go reset. So we'll still have pressure, but they won't have any of their offense. So they're going to end up getting some mana back here from drinking. The priest is going to get a ton, but you don't really have to worry about that. You're playing against the mage's mana pool, not the priest. Right now they're playing position. The mage is going to get in the middle and try and get polymorphs off on Gunter. So I land a full duration cyclone, which he really couldn't throw a counter spell at. He needs that cooldown. And Gunter mounts up and runs across without having to worry about any of it. You can see I even threw an Entangling Roots out there to try and bait out a blink, but the priest is on top of it and dispels it. It's okay, it gives us a little bit more time to set up and lets the mage overextend here. He's going to try and get on Gunter while the priest runs off. Now he starts nuking me, and the priest realizes that he should be in here and doing the same thing. Right now he's trying to nuke, but I'm getting pretty good control on the mage. So they do a lot of damage to me in this little encounter, but it doesn't really matter. I cyclone off the mage, and they're out of CC options besides Fear, so I'm not going to take any more damage. I need to stop these mana burns, so I land a maim, and then I try and get a full duration cyclone off the priest, just so Gunter can get back to the pillar. The priest tries to keep pressure going, so he trinkets out of the cyclone. The mage trinkets out of Gunter's Fear, so we just busted both trinkets. It means that they're going to try and set up for some offense here. Gunter and I are both thinking of Fear Bombs coming, so I try and break line while he uses Fear Ward. The priest is better than that, so he ends up just trying to dispel off the Fear Ward. However, in trying to get on Gunter so hard here, I'm allowed to set up on this mage. He doesn't really have line to get Gunter in a poly, and they don't have any offense otherwise, so he's just going to eat some damage now. The priest is going to try and get some mana back since he's been juking Gunter. He starts drinking, and we just get on this mage pretty hard. We're actually just going to let the priest drink, set up for some damage with a cyclone. A lot of times against this comp, I try and use Maim to get them to blink out so they can't use it defensively later on in the match. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough offense to force a block here, so I think about getting on the priest, but I see that they both traded Fears. I've already used a cyclone on the mage. I'm a little confused. I'm going to throw another cyclone just so Gunter doesn't need a poly, and now I'm going to go into CC. I'm going to bash the priest, Feral charge the mage to interrupt, then we'll get back on the pressure. This is where Feral+Disc shines against this comp. The mage has just gone and had to use his mana gem. They're throwing out all the offense they have. The priest is even going to throw his Shadow Friend on me, and in the meantime he's going to start casting Divine Hymn when they don't end up getting the kill. They need the mana. So right here I start hard casting a Cyclone because Gunter ate the counterspell. I ended up cycloning the mage without a trinket, so he's not going to get any of that Divine Hymn. And as an added bonus, I completely shut down all of their offense. I have to Berserk here defensively just to keep on this priest so I can break up their damage a little bit. Gunter starts eating polys and I start playing a little more line of sight game to not take much damage. Right now I just want to point out how ridiculous this comp is when the mage runs out of mana. He tries to get an Evo, but I interrupt it with Cyclone. The priest is about 17k mana while Gunter's at about 13k. But as soon as the mage runs out of mana, all of their pressure stops and we don't even have to heal anymore. Against melee teams that they can control a lot better, the mage can actually cycle in his Evos and his mana gem cooldowns pretty reliably to always have at least 6, 7, maybe even 10k mana. They're going to get off some good pressure right here, and I'm going to eat a counterspell on the Healing Touch and yell about it to Gunter on vent. He needs to know that he can free cast at this point without worried about being interrupted. So I'm playing line really hard until Gunter's out of polys to the point where he can drop a Fear and hit me with some healing. As an added bonus, we force out a Will from the priest and actually get the mage to trinket. I'm pretty low, but it doesn't matter. I have Pain Suppression and the mage is Zoom. We're going to force a block right here, and unless the mage can get away to drink, they're in huge trouble. Gunter's going to Mass Dispel it off, and I'm going to end up cycloning the priest. You have to be tricky right here because the mage is just going to try and invis. The first thing I hit him with is Rake. The reason I use Rake instead of Fairy Fire is because Rake can't be dispelled, and instead of stopping him from going invis, it's actually going to let him go invis and then immediately break it. The mage gets Pain Suppression here, and I take this opportunity to give Gunter his Intervene. I'm going to try and cover it up with his Cyclone, but the priest knocks it off. It's okay though, because Gunter gets back up to 7k mana and keeps this mage burned, so we're just absolutely destroying him. and it causes their priest to end up spending way more mana than he should be. They try and get off some offense here, so they stun me, but I take 30% damage reduction while stunned in cat form, so it's not too bad. I cyclone off the mage, and then I get an interrupt with Feral charge on that mana burn, so Gunter can get across. They start a poly, which Gunter deaths, and we start getting into much better position here. For the life of me, I can't explain why I go bear form here. I don't have Feral charge up for a moment, I should be chasing after him in cat. I figure it out eventually and get back on the mage, who's gotten a little bit of mana back, but not much. The priest gets 1 or 2 ticks of drinking here, because I haven't been putting out as much pressure as I should in cat form, so I'm chasing him in bear form. He gets a fear up, which puts us in a bad position, and the priest is going to actually try and mind control here so the mage can get off and drink. But I've kept Fairy Fire up basically the entire match, and Gunter even throws a dot on him so he can't invis or drop combat. Right now they're playing a little game I like to call Kite and Annoy. The mage is going to try and run away from me while his priest just regens mana normally, since their priest and our priest is about the same. Their mage is completely owned, so I'm free to just land some damage in him. I know that I can stun him because he can't really blink out of it. But if he does, he doesn't have any mana. So I cyclone off the priest and try and keep up the damage, because the pressure is important. At this point it's all but over. Gunter's got about 4k mana and both of them are owned, so I'm just going to keep getting on this mage because there's nothing he can do about it. Gunter even ends up fearing out the first few seconds of this Divine Hymn, so they don't even really get any healing from it. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy Feraling.